Well, at least the sun is shining. Yeah, there's the curtains. They're not my curtains, but that's how it goes. Doing my homework, as you can see. And look who's down at my feet. Little king. So, I'm really in, not really in chapter 3. Let's just kind of go over it, and then I'll finish chapter 4. And had a group exercise in class, but I have to do, I think, something on a discussion board. But oh my goodness, I'm trying to fix my no. Hi, I'm studying. Um, wow. Um, First day class was super, and crazily, life is so crazy. I swear to God, the people like from the past come into your present 50 years later. Like, we had a teacher at Geneva. She was a substitute, and I won't give her name, but she brought up something that happened 50 years ago in our neighborhood, that I had actually forgotten about, because I was in first grade when this happened. And um, the first black family, according to the teacher, um, people in the neighborhood, as she put it, wrote all over a car the N word. We weren't even allowed to say that word growing up. Um, yeah, the sun's coming in. It makes me feel better when the sun comes in the window. But anyway, we weren't allowed to say that word growing up. My family was Christians, and this teacher I'm talking of, from what I remember, her family, they weren't Christian, but I wouldn't judge a person by by their family, for far and foremost. But what happened? I got a bookmarker in here, so. But what happened in class? And I hope you can see me okay and hear me okay. Oh, King, don't go, little King. Oh, stay here with me, babe. But anyway, what happened was, she starts bringing this up, that we lived in like this white supremacist neighborhood, and a group of people wrote, the N word all over the first black family's car. And then I guess her dad and mom heard about it, and invited the family to dinner, which was really nice. Um, but what I think she's kind of overlooking is one person did this, an adult. Uh, and I think I was 7 years old, and my brother was like 10. And I think we were brought into that scenario somehow. Like, we were involved. And I would like her to think back at what happened to the people in the neighborhood that were judged that they were involved when they weren't involved. What happened to their lives? And I remember her coming to our house, coming to my mom's house with 3 pizzas. And she admitted to liking to eat. And yeah, she loved to eat. And I remember her showing up with 3 pizzas because her family was rich and my family was very poor. We didn't have a lot to eat. we didn't even have shoes, and I guess my parents hid it pretty well that we were kind of in a nice neighborhood, but we weren't well to do at all. We were starving most of the time. I mean, I can remember maybe, having lunch was my only meal that day. So, and sometimes we had supper, sometimes we didn't. So, I wasn't well to do. But she thought, this woman that just taught at Geneva last Wednesday, she thought that me and my brother were somehow involved, and or under that impression, and she bought these three huge pizzas to my mom's house, and my mom and Regina and Julie, my two sisters, and her, four people, were allowed to eat all this pizza, and they were throwing some in the garbage like crusts, and I can remember them not offering me any. I was not offered anything to have to eat. I was so hungry. And I remember taking food out of the garbage, that they were throwing away. And she grabbed it off of me and said, "No, you're not allowed to have that." And I was only 7 years old. I was a little kid. And she was, upper teenager, probably uh, junior in high school. So compared to a first grader to a junior in high school, I mean, that's a big difference. But yeah, I can remember my brother walked out. He was maybe a little older and smarter than me. But I waited because I didn't know I did anything wrong. Because I didn't do anything wrong. But her perception that we were the ones that wrote that on the car, she misjudged us. And when she seen me trying to get food out of the garbage, um, she even took the food out of the garbage, and she ended up leaving and going home and laughing the whole way out the door. And nobody even knew why she showed up. She just showed up. And it was vindictive against me and my brother when we weren't involved in that. So, what happens, to people who are deemed like they're prejudiced when they're not? What happens to those people? What did I learn? Well, I really struggled at that point in time because I thought there was something really, really wrong with me because everyone looked up to the Reed family and everyone looked up to her, and she was, well to do in the neighborhood, like I said. And that really had an effect on my childhood because I thought something was wrong with me, horribly wrong with me. Why I wasn't allowed to eat. And there was another incident too at the fair. I was just a little kid on a horse, on this big, huge horse. And we had to go around in a circle in the corral with the horses so that they could be judged for the ribbons they got. And she raced by me on a horse. She was on a pony and she went, "Yeah, yeah, get up." And it scared my horse. And it was almost like she did it deliberately. But yeah, so she hated me and misjudged me because she thought I did something I didn't do. So what happens, in this whole concept of prejudice? What happens to people that are deemed like they're prejudiced when they're not? I could have been killed on that horse that day. So, and I can remember my brother asking if he could work up there. And he was told no, and he wasn't allowed to put shoes on his horse up there. He had to go somewhere else. So all along, there was things that happened that, were because the way we were getting treated was because they thought we did something we didn't. And, it's just sad, and I hope that doesn't happen to anybody I know, because it did have an effect on me. As you can see, I'm still emotional about it. And that would be the question I would pose. But she wouldn't answer me when I raised my hand in class. She wouldn't even acknowledge that I had my hand raised. So I hope she doesn't come back. I hope she isn't my teacher. And I was so looking forward to her being the teacher. She's just the substitute, thank God. Because I don't think I could go on with the class if she was my teacher. Really don't. I don't want to be judged for something I didn't do, and something I never did, and a person that I was getting judged that I wasn't. I was a little kid. I was in first grade. So, I don't know. I can remember my mom, you know, and then there was a man that worked for them that was hurting my sister. And that's probably why we weren't believed about that right away, because the situation that happened to the black family because of one person in the neighborhood. I mean, that road that we lived on had 200 homes, easy. And, to punish us when we were poor, just, hurts even to this day. And it's just sad that, what happens to people like Trump? He's getting told he's prejudiced. How do we know he's prejudiced? I mean, people say it's the rhetoric, and I didn't vote for the man, so don't judge me. Like my daughter was getting called Trump because people think she's white, so she must have voted for him. And I mean, the prejudice has to stop on both sides. you know if I learned anything about what just happened, and how someone 50 years later still holds a grudge over something I never did, um, you know, and how it's if this thing, prejudice, is just affects both sides, the people that are and the people that have nothing to do with it and that aren't. So I just wanted to talk about this today while I'm doing my homework. This is my class, and you know, it just hurts. It hurts to be misjudged. And just want to say, take care. Thanks for listening. Bye.